Hi guys, good afternoon. So today we're going to talk about exchange trade life cycle. So basically what happens to a trade from the beginning till the end is what we're going to talk about. So basically it's an end-to-end process that we'll talk about. Now, can you guys tell me what are the instruments that trade on an exchange? Okay,
Futures, equity,
equity, futures,
future.
options. Okay. So Saurabh, with the debt, right? So debt largely does not trade on the exchange. Only long-term bonds, okay? Long-term bonds trade on the exchange. All the medium-term and short-term bonds, right? They're actually trading the OTC market. Yeah, long-term, okay? Like the 20, 30 years plus, okay? So Sunny, commodities, right? You're not trading physical commodities. It is futures commodities, right? So it again falls under the world of futures market. So if you index futures, equity futures, and commodity futures. Okay.
Bonds.
Yeah, bonds, but again, I'm saying long-term bonds, not short-term and medium-term bonds. Mutual funds, yes, yeah, that has also started trading where you can buy the number of units and NAV and all of that at a specific price.
Sir,
That's
ETF, equity traded fund, ETF are also traded.
Yes, ETFs are also traded, right? So when we look at it, right, so you have futures, options, ETFs, and also mutual funds that trade on the exchange. Okay. Now, what does the word trade mean? So see the first exchange trade life cycle. I'm breaking up these four words to so that you guys are clear. What does the word trade mean?
The trade means the buying and selling of the commodities.
Okay. It could be a commodity or a financial instrument. Okay. So when we talk about trade, it's a transaction of buying and selling a financial instrument. Okay. And what does the term life cycle mean?
End-to-end process.
It's an end-to-end process, right? So when we talk about life cycle, it's basically what happens from the beginning till the end. Okay. So now if we combine all these three terminologies, right? The definition that we can extract or derive from this is that when we talk about exchange trade life cycle, it is a process a trade goes through from trade initiation to trade settlement. Okay, that is what we mean by um, exchange trade life cycle. Okay, is this clear? So exchange, we're talking about futures, options, equities, ETFs, mutual funds, long-term bonds. Okay, long-term bonds as well. Okay, so all these instruments are traded on an exchange. A trade is a transaction of buying and selling a financial instrument, and a life cycle is what happens to a trade from beginning to the end. Okay? And an exchange trade life cycle is a process a trade goes through from trade initiation to trade settlement. Okay, is this clear with everyone? Okay, write this down and then we'll talk about the steps. Actually, no, we won't talk about the steps right now. I'll give you guys the big picture of what happens on a trade. Is it? I hope it's pretty straightforward, right? It's clear. Okay. Everyone done writing? No? Okay. Quickly. Done? Alright, cool. Let's start. Okay, now see, before I explain you guys the steps, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys a broad, like a big picture of what happens to a trade from beginning till end. Okay, and this will give you guys the idea of where all the financial participants are, uh, where the financial institutions come in, etc. Okay, uh, and my example is going to be very specific. Okay, it's going to be example in relation to a finance of institutional investing. Okay, in or institutional investor. I'm not talking about retail investors. Okay, is this clear with everyone? Okay, so let's look at this. So let's say that we have a client ABC based out in the UK, and they want to buy, let's say, 20,000 shares of what's a good company that you guys, any good company that you guys keep track of? Apple. I won't actually be specific, sort of about Indian markets, so that you guys understand the whole picture. Any Indian stock that you guys? Sorry,
Reliance, HDFC.
Reliance, HDFC. Okay, let's talk about HDFC Bank. Now, can anybody tell me what's the price of HDFC? I'm actually also a shareholder of HDFC. I think it's a really good bank. What is HDFC? Okay, 1,199. 1,199. 1,203. How do you guys it? Are you guys sure? 1,203? Okay, fine. But I'm just seeing it in my phone. It's saying okay. So fine. 1,203 rupees per share. Okay, so you have a client in the UK and they want to buy 20,000 shares of HDFC Bank. Okay, now this guy, the client ABC, is a foreign institutional investor. Now, when I talk about HDFC Bank shares, what type of shares am I talking about? Am I talking about depository receipts or am I talking about local equity? Yes, correct, Chetan. I'm talking about local equity. I'm not talking about DRs. Okay, talking about local equity. So, what as a now let's say the client, who are they going to get in touch with if they want to buy HDFC?
Investment bank.
Ah, yes, very good. So we're going to be very specific here, guys. Is an investment bank like let's say JPM or Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, whatever. Okay. Now, what are they doing? They're acting as a broker. Okay. Now, where will the investment bank go to buy these shares? What do you guys think?
Another depository or another investment bank will they contact?
No. See, Piyush, we're talking about exchange, right? So they are going to go to a stock exchange. They're not going to go to another depository or anything like that. So they're going to go to NSE. Largely for the big investment banks, right? They like to trade on NSE because of better prices and time, and the execution rates are timings are really good compared to BSE. Okay. So we have client ABC, they want to buy 20,000 shares of HDFC Bank at 1,203 rupees. And they contact an investment bank, which acts as a broker, and the broker will place an order on the exchange. Now, what will be the role of the stock exchange here? What will be the role of the stock exchange? No, so trading is done by the investment bank.
Stock exchange
Execution of the trade at the
find
given price.
1% at a time.
stock exchange will
Huh?
stock exchange will try to find the seller.
Exactly, right? So Nikhil, not settlement. Yeah, so transaction is the thing, but basically they're going to find a seller. Okay, they're going to match the order, correct? So now let's look at the other side of this. Okay, now for example, again, I'm saying, okay, now let's say there's a client DEF. Okay, now this is a US based foreign institutional investor. Okay, and they want to sell 20,000 shares of HDFC Bank at this thing. Okay, now who are these guys going to contact? They also are going to contact an investment bank, let's say Goldman Sachs. Okay, they're going to client is going to contact an IB like Goldman Sachs, and what are they going to do? They're going to place an order on the exchange as well. Okay, so this is how a trade is executed on the exchange. Now, what is the matching criteria for a trade to be executed? Do you guys know? So how does the stock exchange match the buyer with the seller?
The number of shares and the price which they are quoting.
Which comes first, price or quantity?
The quantity.
So first the price and then the quantity.
Correct. Okay, so it is price first, okay, and then quantity. Okay, yeah, so it's always got, so why price, right? Because see, you will have millions of people quoting different prices along with the range, right? So that's why price will get matched first and then the quantity will get matched. Okay, now let's look at this also logically. If I put a large order of, let's say, 20,000 shares of HDFC Bank on the exchange, what will happen to the price? What do you guys think? What will happen to the price? Will it still stay the same, or will it go down, or will
Price,
it go up?
price go up.
Yeah, price is going to
Up,
go up.
up.
Why? Because if the demand for
Because
something goes, if demand increases, price will also increase. Okay. Now the thing is, people don't understand why it's going up, but they want to buy it because they think everybody is buying. That's like herd mentality or crowd mentality. So the price will go up. So what happens is that the investment bank, okay, now their job is to buy it at the lowest possible price on that day. Okay, not at the highest possible price. So what the investment bank does is that this 20,000 shares is called a parent order. Okay, and what they do is that they break up the 20,000 shares into child orders. Okay, so what that basically means is that they execute one share, two shares, five, like small quantities throughout the day, so that nobody in the market will come to know that a client is buying a huge amount of shares. Okay, so they'll break up this 20,000 shares into child orders. Okay, basically they'll buy small quantities. Okay, quantities of shares throughout the day. And what will happen when you buy small quantities throughout the day is that the market will not know that this is happening, one. And the second thing is that you will maybe get your average price will be better than, you know, so basically you will average price it down. Okay, that's the idea of executing a trade throughout the day. Okay, so you never put a large order on the stock exchange at any given point. Now, as retail investors, putting 100 shares is not going to matter to anyone. Okay, I've met a lot of people, right? They're like, okay, I'll buy one share at 121 rupees, and I'll buy the next share at 120.50 rupees. Okay, that 100 shares you execute on the market really doesn't make a big deal, right? It's not a big deal. So even 20,000 shares, logically speaking, is not huge. But if you, let's say, put 2 lakhs, right, or 20 lakhs, then that becomes a problem. Yeah. So this is the idea of what happens on the stock exchange. Okay, so client, broker, exchange. Okay, client, broker, exchange. Is this clear with everyone of what's happening on the exchange? Yes, no? Any doubts?
Sir, one question is this: who are these FIIs? These are pension funds, mutual funds, or who?
Anything. It can be a mutual fund like BlackRock. Okay, it can be pension funds like CalPERS. It could be a hedge fund. It could be anyone. It doesn't matter. Only thing is they're FII, institutional investors. Okay. All right. Now, after this is done, is so once this is done, right, guys, the job of front office is over. Okay. Now, this is the next part that I'm going to talk about, right, is what operations guys do. Okay. The next part is what all of operations do. Okay. Now, let me break this up into couple of pieces. Okay. But you got to understand that all of this, right, is happening more or less at the same time. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at first client ABC. Okay. Now, what do you think client ABC should do next? So they've executed a deal on the stock exchange. What should be their next step? What do you guys think? Should they contact the broker, or should they contact the exchange, or the clearing house, or the custodian? What will be their next step? Okay, but what will the broker do then, Nikhil? Sajanya, what will the clearing house
So
do? Yeah.
they will contact the custodian bank.
Yes, actually, very good. What's up? So, guys, it's actually client ABC will contact the custodian bank. Okay. For example, let's say Northern Trust, State Street, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, etc. These are custodian banks. Now, what do you think they're going to tell what do you think client ABC is going to tell the custodian bank? See, Nikhil, let me clarify here. See, the client's job with the broker is done. They've executed the deal, okay? And Saujanya, the client cannot contact the clearing house because the client does not have a relationship with the clearing house. It's the investment bank that has a relationship with the clearing house, okay, or with the stock exchange, okay? All right, good. So, what is the custodian bank going to do, and what is the client is going to do? Is they're going to arrange for cash. Basically, they're going to do an FX deal. Okay, they're going to do an FX deal. And what's going to be the FX deal? GBP to INR. Okay, now again, I want you to guys be very clear here. Retail investors, we don't have a custodian bank. Okay, obviously, okay, because our money is held with the broker, and our shares are held with the depository, NSDL. Okay, so that's why all this will not happen on the retail side. Okay, so I'm talking specific about institutional investing. So custodian bank, will arrange for cash. Basically, they'll do a FX deal from GBP to INR. So it could be that the client will transfer GBP to the custodian, and the custodian will convert GBP to INR. Okay, so this is one of the things that happen. Okay, now this can happen on. Actually, let me back up a little bit. Okay, do you guys know what is T+2? What this means? This is basically a settlement cycle. Okay, so you have something known as trade day, which is the day you enter into the contract. Then you have T+1. Sorry, T+1. Okay, and then you have T plus. Hang on, T+2. Okay, so on trade day you enter into the contract. So T+1. Basically you have 1 day to keep both the cash and securities ready. Okay, from both buyer and seller perspective, and T+2 is the settlement date. Okay, so this custodian bank thing is going to happen on a T+1. Okay, now what do you think will happen on the sell side? What do you think will happen on a sell side? What do you guys think?
The seller will check with the custodian that if the shares are in place, shares are available.
Yes, very good. Exactly, actually, yeah. Good job. So again, the client DF is going to contact their custodian bank. Okay. Now it can be the same custodian bank or it can be a different one, right? So it can be Citi, it can be DB, etc. Okay, anyone. So what are they going to do is they're going to check if the securities are in place, so they're basically, so client TF, right, is basically checking with the custodian, hey, do I have the 20,000 shares in my account? Yes, no. Okay, and 99.99% it is a yes. Okay, so if they're going to check whether the securities are in place, and they will instruct, hang on, and they will instruct the custodian to release the shares on settlement date. Okay, now here's the important thing that you guys need to know. Okay, is that the custodian will never do anything without client confirmation. Okay, they will never ever do anything without client confirmation. Okay, now what does that mean? If the client says only, they're going to do it, otherwise they are not going to do it. Okay, and this also happens on T+1. Okay, is this clear with everyone? So when we'll talk about investment banks and what they do in specific in a bit, but I want you guys to understand the big picture of what and all is happening. And we talked about all of this in your financial system, right? So that's why it's very important that if you want to understand level 2 properly, you need to be clear with the level 1 topics. Okay. Okay, is this clear with everyone on what's happening on T+1?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, this client ABC which we have written as its investment bank is JP Morgan as broker. So I wish to ask that this JP Morgan is based in United Kingdom or Indian branch of JP Morgan?
Indian branch, very good. Yeah, it's going to be Mumbai broker, and this is also going to be Goldman Sachs Mumbai. Good point.
United States.
No. So see, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, they are global financial institutions, but they are going to, since they're
Mumbai.
trading in local market, they have to use the local office.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Sell. Okay. But big deal. You guys understand what I'm saying? Okay. Sell. Okay. Is this clear with everyone? What's happening on T+1? Yes, no? Okay, quickly write this down and then we'll move on to T+2. Okay, let me know when you guys are done writing. Okay.
So, sir, basically the clients will talk to the investment bank, that's the broker in this case, to check the settlements, right? Just to summarize.
Not settlements, to buy the shares.
Okay.
See, settlements is the end result of it, but the what they're doing is they're executing the deal on the market.
Like checking if
Sir,
like checking if the shares are correctly available in the custodian bank or not, right? That initial checks are happening in this day.
No. These are not checks. See, checking and all that doesn't happen. It's directly execute. Okay, let me put it this way. When so right now Amazon and Flipkart sale is going on, right? Now, will you check with Amazon whether they have the inventory or not when you're buying?
Yes.
You will check the inventory. Sarjanya, will you check
no,
the
sir.
inventory?
Who checks inventory?
Right? You will not check the inventory. You're just going to place the order, right? So the idea is the same
Okay.
here is that the client says, I want to buy 20,000 shares. So they will place and
Okay.
execute the deal, and the operations team will figure out everything else.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it's a good point. Let me be clear here. Okay, guys. All of you have bought stuff on Amazon and Flipkart, right? I don't think, at least in your age group, nobody would have not done it. Anybody not done it? I guess not, right? Anybody bought anything useful on this Amazon sale? From what I hear worldwide, this time Amazon's great sale is not really that great. Yeah. Anybody got anything of value or saw something nice? Yes. Okay. Do you mind sharing, Nikhil? Is it something worth buying? OnePlus. Oh, okay. I'm done with phones. I have an Apple phone, so I'm not buying one until that thing completely breaks down. Okay, Intelligent Investor, that's a good book to this thing. Yeah. So Nikhil, just read till chapter 8 for uh, Intelligent Investor. Just read till the first 8 chapters, and this goes for the rest of you as well. If you want to really understand about investing, right? Read Intelligent Investor. Read the first 8 chapters, and you will actually know a lot about investing compared to most of the pundits out there. Okay. Okay. So got wrecked. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so now see guys, let's understand one thing. When you buy something on Amazon or Flipkart, right? You're buying from a seller, and Amazon is your platform, right? It's your stock exchange. So what Amazon is going to do is that, so when you place an order, and what happens is you can automatically the seller will automatically be there, um, automatically be there, or you can choose the seller based on the price and all of that, or maybe the feedback, right? So what happens is that the inventory management, all of that, right, is taken care of by the company, by the seller, and by Amazon. So your only concern is what, that you want to buy the product. Okay, so that's why you're not going to go check to Amazon, hey, do you have inventory on this, yes or no. So rather what's going to happen is that the seller will have updated their inventories, and if the inventory goes out, right, then you cannot place your order. Okay, now this will not happen on the exchange, but in the exchange what happens is that you place the order, the trade will be executed based on the sell side. Okay, so, and that's why the clearinghouse comes in and says, you know what, I'm guaranteeing your settlement, etc. Okay, yeah, it'll say it's out of stock. Okay, but is this clear, Sajanya? So the idea is same thing like placing an order on Amazon and Flipkart. Okay, it's that you're not going to worry too much about what's on the other side, who's selling it, or whatever it is. You just want your product delivered for the money you paid. Okay. Okay, cool. Everybody done writing? Shall we move on? Okay, so now we talked about trade date T+1. Okay, so trade. So now let's look at settlement date. Yes, Nikhil. So this part up till here is all front office. From here onwards, it is all middle office and core operations. Okay. All right. Now let's understand what's happening on T+2. Okay. Now on T+2, what's the thing? First thing that happens rather is that the sell side. Actually, let me put this. Okay, the sell side settles first. Okay, it sounds weird, but sell side settles first. Now, why does that settle first? Is that the clearinghouse needs to know how much shares have been received. Okay, that's why. Okay, now what do you think will happen on the sell side? Yeah, to confirm the quantity. So what do you? So okay, now guys, give you guys a hint. Okay, so custodian has the shares. Now, who are they going to release the shares to? We'll come to that, Saurabh. Just give me some time, I'll talk about it. Now, who will the custodian give the shares to?
Sir, clearinghouse, by the process of novation.
Actually, Piyush, wrong.
Depository.
Yes, okay, very good. Depository. Now, Akib, can you tell me why?
Sir, because the custodian don't have the legal ownership, depositories have the legal ownership of the shares.
No, depository does not have legal ownership of the shares. It's the investor who has legal ownership of the shares. Okay, can you tell me why depository?
Sir, because depositories are responsible for the name change of the entity.
Responsible for what, Piyush? I didn't hear.
Sir, responsible for legal name change.
There you go. So, Sajanya, not ADR. We're not talking about depository receipts here. We're talking about local equity. Okay. So when we're talking, so what happens is custodian has the shares and they're going to release it to the depository. And what will the depository do? They will remove the name of client DEF. Okay. Then what's going to happen is that, hang on, they'll remove the name of client DEF and the depository will release the shares to the clearinghouse. Okay. Now, this is happening on the sell side. Okay. Now, sort of to answer your question, right? Why the sell side settles first is that, see, there are times when in the market people might have short sold. Basically, they would have sold in the market, but they did not deliver the shares. Okay. So, what the clearinghouse does is that they calculate the obligation that they have to give to the buyer. Okay. So, basically, they're calculating if there are any shortages or not. Okay. They're taking the inventory at that time and say, now let's say that there's only one deal. So, buy 20,000, but on the sell side, somebody gave only 18,000 shares, okay, as a market. So then you will have 2,000 rupees, which is missing. So that's what the clearinghouse does, is that it will calculate what is the obligation that they have to give to the buy side. Okay. Is this clear with everyone? Yes, no? Okay. So this is the first thing that happens in the morning. Okay. In India, it's like 10:30 is the cutoff time. Okay. Saurabh, what didn't you understand? My friend, what I'm trying to tell you here is that the shares will be released to the clearinghouse because clearinghouse needs to calculate how much they have to give to the buy side. When I say calculate, they're checking whether all the shares, all the inventory has been received from the sell side or not. Now, what if one investor did not deliver the shares? They did a short selling and they didn't deliver the shares. So that means there's a shortage with the clearinghouse. So their job is to check whether they have received all the shares from the sell side. That's it. Okay. All right. Now, so that's happening on the sell side. Now, what happens to the buy side is that the custodian bank, okay, will release the money to who? Who will they release the money to? So, my friend, gotta think. Don't be in a rush to answer your question. Think first.
Depository,
Why? Anand,
because
why
they have to
custodian?
change the name.
Sorry?
Because they have to change the name. Because they have to change the name of the shareholders, so they need the money.
No. No. See,
The
the
first
role of
should be removed.
depository, hang on. The role of depository is to only handle securities. So you cannot release your money to the depository. You cannot do name change on money, right? You can only do name change on securities. Now, Saurabh, you don't know. See, guys, you gotta understand one thing. Hang on, let me draw a line here. Okay, let me draw this line. Okay. So see, left of the line, this is buy side, and right of the line is buy side, sell side. So buyers and sellers don't know each other. So how will buy side custodian contact sell side custodian? They don't know who they are. Yeah. Yeah, Anand, what's your thought?
Brokers,
Brokers? No.
Exchange will come.
Why
Sir,
exchange?
clearinghouse.
Why?
Clearinghouse.
Yes. Okay. And guys, this is really clear that a lot of you guys are not clear with financial system. Okay. They're going to release it to the clearinghouse. Now see, stock exchange job is not to manage money. Their job is to execute deals. Why will they look at money? It's the clearinghouse's responsibility. Now, when the securities and cash are held with the clearinghouse, then only innovation is possible, right? How will innovation be possible at a stock exchange level? Right? See, this is what I mean, that you guys have to be so very thorough with your understanding of these topics, and that's and a lot of wrong answers that you guys are giving here, right? So custodian bank would release the money to the clearinghouse. Now, what happens? Is your settlement guaranteed? Yes or no?
Yes, the settlement is guaranteed.
If the
Exactly.
money and the quantity matches,
Exactly.
price and the
The
quantity
money
matches.
and the securities are held with the clearinghouse, and that is when innovation starts. Right? See, guys, this is an extremely logical this thing. Okay. Now, some of you said IB, some of you said client side custodian. It's very clear that you're not clear with financial system as a topic. Most of you guys thought financial system, no big deal. It's all easy, but it's very clear that you don't know anything on financial system because you're getting most of your answers wrong. Yeah. So I'm telling you guys again and again, until and unless you're thorough with your topics, you will not be able to crack an interview. Okay. And these are not difficult things. Okay. All right. So hang on. So this is happening on T+2. This is also happening on T+2. Now, what else? So is the process completed or no? Is it done?
Not yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
No, sir,
What's missing?
not yet.
The
Security.
custodian has released the money to the clearinghouse. Clearinghouse matches the money and the share quantity. Then it will go to the depository of the ABC
Very
to
good.
change the name. Yeah.
Very good. So now what's going to happen is that now the novation process starts. Novation process, right? So what will the clearinghouse do? Clearinghouse will deliver the securities, or let me say shares, to depository. And what will the depository do? Add client name, or add ABC, add client name. Okay. Then what will the depository do? Will deliver the shares to the custodian. Okay. That's on the buy side. Buy side. Now what's going to happen on the sell side? Clearinghouse will receive the cash, okay, and will deliver to client custodian. Okay. All of this is happening on T+2. Okay. So once this happens, only is the transaction finally settled in the market. Is this clear with everyone? So do you guys see? It's very, very logical and it's very neat, right? It's very neat, it's very efficient. Okay. Now, a lot of you guys who said investment bank and all of that. Now think, guys, think logically. What will the investment bank do? How will they play a role? Their job is a broker. Why will they take the securities? Why will they take the cash? And I'm talking about institutional investing. I'm not talking about retail investing here, right? So, and this is why I would like to, so I can see, I can just go start with the steps and finish this class in 1 hour, okay? But and by the way, this will not necessarily be asked in your interview, but I think this is very important for you guys to understand where all the participants come in, right? And how the entire trading to settlement takes place, because this is how you will be able to crack an interview. Is if you tell an interviewer like this is the reason you want to get hired. Okay, and it shows that you have the knowledge, you know what is happening on the stock exchange, you know what's happening at a custodian, you know what's happening at a depository, at a clearinghouse, etc. Right? And this is how you guys need to understand stuff, not just by mugging up stuff and saying, okay, what is investment bank, what is this, what is that. That's, you'll get hired eventually, but you're not going to create such great impressions with an interviewer. Right? Is this clear with everyone? Any questions on this? Is this clear? Now, believe it or not, after this happens, right? Not believe it, I mean, you have to believe it. After this happens, all of the rest, okay, all of this is all done by operations. After trade execution, everything else is done by operations. So that is why there's a big demand, right? Working in an investment bank, working at a custodian, working at a depository, working even in a stock exchange. I think one of my career goals, maybe once in my career, right? I would love to work, in NSE and BSE. That'd be awesome. Like when I was in Goldman, I used to work closely with them and all of that. But I'd love to work with the stock exchange. I'd love to work with I've never worked in the custody bank, but I know how they work, right? I would love to work in a depository. So you guys have to understand that the world of capital markets and financial markets is so huge. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to work in an investment bank. You can even work with a client. You can work. So BlackRock is a client. It's a major client for a lot of the investment banks. You can work on the client side. You can work on broker. You can work on the stock exchange. You can work in a custodian. You can work for a clearinghouse, a depository. Right? The sky is the limit. Okay. Now, is this entire process clear with everyone about what's happening from beginning till end? Yes, no.
Sir, who owns the National Stock Exchange? Government of India or
No,
private
it's privately
people?
held. NSE is a private company. It's not owned by the government. As far as I know, it's not owned by the government. Nikhil, they have job openings. You have to go to their website, and I think they have careers section there, and you can apply. But it's very, very competitive to get into NSE and BSE. BSE, I wouldn't recommend because a lot of very ancient stuff that they do. But NSE, I think, is a really good place to work at. But gotta understand, with a lot of these companies, right? The job is very, very what do you call it? uh, it's not dynamic. Okay, it's a very specific job. Now let's say your job is to do only pay securities calculation. Okay, you'll only do that for like 5 years. It's very hard to get lateral movement and growth. I mean, growth you'll get, but lateral movement to learn different things is a little restricted, because once you get a profile, you have to work there for many years. Yeah, so that is a different world altogether, right? So trading floor, that's exciting and all of that, but again, you got to understand that that's a different culture mindset altogether as compared to Indian markets. Okay, so is this clear? Do you guys need time to write this, or have you all written it down?
Sir,
Yes.
hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, sir. I have a question that in this particular transaction, is there any specific percentage or amount that the broker has to charge from the buyer and the seller, I mean, both the brokers,
Of
or
course.
it depends on the price?
No. So there is a commission that will be charged that we'll talk about in a bit. Okay. But yes, of course, the job of the broker, I mean, not job, but rather the reason why the broker does this service to the client is that they earn commission on it.
Commission, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys,
So there's no.
Sorry.
There's not a specific percentage of brokerage, or it
Yeah,
depends on
there
the
is a
price. I was
percentage.
just
So in India, the minimum you can charge is 0.01 up to a maximum of 2.5%
2.5%. Yeah.
is the maximum.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you guys, see, when I was working in Goldman, right? Can you guess what was the average daily commission that a Goldman or any investment bank would make on a daily basis? What do you guys think?
Around 50 million.
No, no, 50 million is quite a huge amount, but that could be at a global level. But when I was working, let's say for Goldman India, right? I remember this during like I think 2010, 2011, right? We for like 3 months consistently, right? We used to make 1 crore in commission every day because we had new clients and big orders and all that. So 1 crore in commission every single day. So, and retail brokers, right? If they can make this much, right, they will be so happy. They'll be so happy. Yeah, but it doesn't happen on retail side. They don't make so much. Anybody work in retail broking here? Yes. So what's the? I mean, if you don't mind saying. I wish I could. Not even 0.001% of that. Because see, all that is goes back into the company's revenues and our profitability, and goes to the front office guys. Because see, front office guys, why they earn a lot of money is because they're bringing in these clients, right? So that's why front office guys get paid a lot of money is because of this commission basis. But yeah, sales. But unfortunately, I honestly, I'm saying I did not see 0.001% of it. And actually, what happened that year was that they stopped my promotion. Okay, and because I got into a fight with the manager and all of that. And when they gave me my hike and incentives for the year, right? I took the paper and I threw it on their face and I walked out. So that's not something you should ever do. But yeah, I did a lot of stupid stuff, yeah. But I was really angry because I knew. So why I'm saying is, I knew the commission because I was booking that, and they did not even give me like 0.00001% of that, right? And I got really angry. So I remember this. So the manager was sitting opposite to me. I took the paper and I like pushed it hard on the desk and it like flew off the desk. It didn't hit him luckily, but it flew off the desk and I just walked out. Yeah, yeah, angry young man and still angry old man also. Actually, angry old man is more scary than angry young man. Yeah, well, sort of because I'm teaching you guys, right? I have to stay calm because one thing I realize as a teacher, right? If I start yelling and shouting at you, right, you are not going to learn from me. So if you guys remember, right, in school and all that, did you guys respond to teachers or did you learn well because the teacher was nice? Or was the teacher, if the teacher was mean, would you learn better if the teacher was a bad person or a good person? Like, how would you learn? What do you guys think? Yeah, of course. So if they were nice to you and kind to you, right? That's what you will learn. So when I joined like 4 years ago, right? I used to make, well, I still make students cry, but I used to be very aggressive. But then I realized that if I become too aggressive, and a lot of you guys are very like sensitive as well, both guys and girls, right? So that's why I stay calm with you guys. But if you were to ever work with me in an investment bank, it's a completely different person, and you might, and definitely you will not like me because I will, be very. I'm very aggressive by nature, but I control myself because I have to teach you guys. Yeah. Otherwise, as a person, I'm very aggressive. Yes, yes. I was so in Goldman. I was managing a team, and in SocChain also, I was a operations manager, so I was leading the team. Yeah. So in Goldman, I was an associate, like you can say like one below level as a VP or a team leader, and I did that for a couple of years. Then I got a terrible manager, and because of that, I quit. Then I took a break, and then I joined SocGen as an operations manager, and did that for 3 years. Yeah, so it's all fun and games until
Sir, 10 crore you talked about daily, it was brokerage commissions or individual brokerage commissions or brokerage commissions plus trading activity also.
No, it was. Sorry, I ask you a question again. I didn't understand.
10 crore daily was of
No,
brokerage
1 crore.
commissions or
1 crore in commission.
1 crore in brokerage commissions. It was separate or plus trading activities, because investment bank do trade lot of trading activities also. No?
Yeah, so the trading activities that would be in couple crores. Okay, that will be in couple crores, and the commission is separate. Commission is what the investment bank earns. Okay, but the what do you call it? The turnover. That's actually this thing. The turnover would be a couple crores a day. Okay. All right. Yeah, turnover. Yeah, so, Nikhil, we'll talk about this in a bit. Okay, let me finish this and then we'll get to it. Okay, so are we all very clear with what's happening? Yeah, and a lot of you guys need to be clear with financial system. Most of you got it wrong. Some of you got it right, good, but the rest of you got it wrong. Okay, all right. So, shall I move on? You guys have done writing? Yes, no? Okay. Cool. Okay, now let's talk about. So now this is what you guys need to know. Okay, steps in trade life cycle from an interviewing perspective. Okay, now when we what I mean by this, right? So all this is also important, but this is to give you an idea what's happening. But from an interviewing perspective, this is what you guys need to know. Okay, so the first thing is you have front office. Now, what is the role of front office? Is basically sales and revenue generation. That is their activity. Okay. Now, irrespective of what we all think, right? Sales uh, is the most important function in any industry. Okay, from financial services to manufacturing to even egg buying what do you call it, groceries, buying groceries. Sales is the most important thing. Okay, now some of you guys who work in retail banks, largely you want to quit retail banking is because there's too much pressure on sales, right? And if you don't generate those sales, right, then bad stuff happens. You might even be fired, right? So front office job is sales and revenue generation. Okay. All right. Now let's look at the first step. The first one is what we call as sales. Now sales is again what? Client acquisition and revenue generation. Okay. Now the idea is simple, right? The more clients you acquire, the more revenue you're going to generate. Okay. Now the second step is what we call as trade initiation. Okay. Now trade initiation is what? Basically placement of order. Now what is placement of order? It's this. The client placing an order with the broker is called as trade initiation. Okay. The next step is what we call as trade execution. Okay, trade execution, and this is agreement of order. Okay, now what do we mean by agreement of order? Is basically this part. Okay, the order being executed on the stock exchange between the buyer and seller. Okay, this is what we mean by order execution. Okay, then the next step the fourth step is what we call as trade capture. Okay, now in trade capture, what you're doing is you're going to record the details of the trade in the company's risk management tool or risk management system, sorry. Okay, otherwise known as RMS. Okay, so trade capture is you record the details of the trade in the company's risk management system, otherwise known as RMS. Okay, so that's what we mean by trade capture. Okay, so these are the first four steps in front office: sales, trade initiation, trade execution, and trade capture. Is this clear with everyone? Okay, all right, write this down and then we move on to middle office. Okay, everyone done? Yes? Okay. All right, shall we move on? Now let's look at middle office. Okay, now in middle office, what's going to happen is basically risk management. Okay, risk management and checking. So we'll use different words for it, but just to give you guys an idea. All right. So now what happens in middle office? First step is what we call as trade enrichment. Now, what does the word enrich mean?
Value addition.
Value addition, yes. You're going to, in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to add economic and non-economic details to the trade. We're going to add economic and non-economic details to the trade. Now, what do we mean by economic? Okay, is you're going to calculate the commission on the trade. Okay, and the non-economic, okay, you're going to add the custodian account number and bank account number. Okay, So this is what you are doing in trade enrichment. Now let's use like it will be very basic here. How do you generally calculate commission? Forget from a trading perspective, but generally in life, how do you calculate commission?
Based on the percentage.
Okay, based on a percentage, right? Now, in largely, right, in the financial markets, right, in investment banks and all of that, we will calculate commission by using BPS, basis points. Okay, that's how we're going to calculate commission. Okay, now how does this work, right? So 1% is 100 basis points. Okay, 0.5% is 50 basis points, and let's say 0.25%. So the key thing you have to say percent, okay, is 25 basis points. Okay, so that's how. So now this commission is charged to the client based on their relationship, based on the volume of business that they do. Okay, now in any business, higher the volume, the lower they will lower the commission. Okay, but if you do one-off trades once in a while, then the commission will be up. Okay, so generally back then it was around 20 to 30 basis points as commission. Okay, now how are we going to now calculate commission on this trade? Okay, so it's pretty easy. So you do quantity into price, this equals your gross value, into basis points. Now in this case, let's just take 25 basis points. Okay, 25 basis points. So that is how you calculate commission. Okay, so let's calculate commission for this trade. So 20,000 at 1203. Can anybody calculate that please for me? 20,000 shares multiplied by rupees 1,203 equals, what's the gross value? Okay, okay, everybody got this? 20,000 into 1203. Happened. 20,000. Okay, okay. Two lakhs? No. 2,40,000. Hey, what is this? 60,000, 40 lakhs, 2 crores. Okay, yeah, there you go. 2 crores, 40 lakhs, 60,000. Okay. Sorry? Sorry, I didn't get you. Okay, otherwise 24 million. Honestly, guys, I'm not very comfortable with the lakh and crore system. Okay, so if we do it this way, right? So after every 3 zeros, you put a comma. So it's 24,060,000. Now you're going to multiply this into 25 basis points. Yeah, 2 crores. Okay, so you're going to multiply this into 25.25%. So the commission is going to be 60,125. Oh, sorry, 150. Okay, is this clear with everyone of how you calculate commission? Yeah, pretty easy, right? Okay, so now wrong. How? It's correct, no?
Correct, sir. Correct.
Okay, okay. 60,150 is the commission the broker earns. Okay, Now let's look at this, okay? And again, I'm kind of going deviating from the topic, but I think it's important that you guys know all of this, okay? So what happens is that, so how does a this thing looks like, right? So you have a trade date, you have a settlement date, all these details are there, okay? Quantity, name of the script, okay? So in this case, it's going to be Reliance, okay? Quantity, price, gross value, commission, tax, and net value. Okay, so the net, so basically, see, at the end of the day, your system will do it, but if your system breaks down, right, you should still be in a position to arrive at a number, because this is how we learn to stuff, right? So you have trade date. Now let's say trade date is tomorrow, 19th. Okay, so 19th of October, and when will be the settlement date? 21st October. Script is going to be Reliance. Quantity is 20,000. Price is 1203. Cross value is 24,060,000. Okay. Okay. Commission is going to be 60,150. Now the tax part, right? So tax is different in each country, etc. And in India, I don't know what's the GST and all of that for the thing, but let's just say the tax is 2%. Okay, you always have to pay tax. Now the tax is going to be on what? Exactly, it's going to be on the gross value. Okay, so can somebody calculate that? And guys, this 2%, I think it's much higher, but I'm just giving a random number here. What's 2% of this 24 million? Okay, rupees. It's always rupees anyway. 4,81,200. Okay, 4,81,200. Okay, everybody understood till here? Okay, now how do you arrive at net value? Okay, now for a buy trade, you will add gross value plus commission plus tax. Okay, that's how you arrive at your net value, equals net value. Now for a sell trade, what will you do? You will subtract gross value minus commission minus tax equals net value. Okay, so that's, so can anybody calculate net value for me for the buy trade? Okay, all right, so this is the net value. Okay, and obviously this is in terms of rupees. Okay, is this clear with everyone?
Just a quick gross value is nothing but quantity into price, right?
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I
Sir,
kept your saying.
tax to government of India.
Yes, of course. Who else will you pay?
2% of gross value, right?
Yes. Okay, if you're trying to
And
say
Dakshit,
something,
what is Yeah. What is this entire process called from trade date to net value?
It's not a process as such. You're doing trade enrichment, and you're doing
Okay,
this on trade date. So execution
fine.
capture is done in front office. Now the deal has come down to your middle office system, and your system will obviously automatically calculate it for you. Okay, but what I'm teaching you guys is one step below this, is that how the calculation happens. Does that make sense? Okay, is this
Sir,
clear with
sir,
everyone?
let's sup- sir,
Sorry.
let's suppose sir, let's suppose trade was done on 16th of October.
Mm-hmm.
So because of Saturday and Sunday, the trade settlement date will be 18 or 20 now.
So see, 16th is trade date, 19th will be T plus 1, and Tuesday will be T plus 2, 20th.
Okay, sir, 20.
Yeah, T plus 2. Okay, is it clear with everyone? Yes, no? Okay, see, obviously your system will do all this, okay, but uh, you know, if the system goes down, you need to be in a position to do this, right? And I think this is some of the things that nowadays I think they don't teach you all of this because we're heavily reliant on the system. But when we started out, we could not trust the system because the system used to have a mind of its own and used to do some crazy stuff. So that's why we actually used to manually calculate a lot of this stuff, or we used to run Excel formulas on it and arrive at those values.
Sir, so big transactions and lots of transactions take place in a single day. Sir, computer may be of some different kind, right? Some special, matlab, lot of computing power.
Yeah, no, we used to use normal desktops only, but the applications would be quite advanced. But the computing power, like for operations, you'll use your normal desktop. That's okay. All right. Okay. Everybody clear with this? And we're not done with middle office yet, but it's a long explanation, but I hope you guys understood what's happening. Okay. It's a lot of stuff to do. Okay. Now the next part is what we call as trade validation. Okay. Now in trade validation, what you're going to do is you're going to do a trader, and client check. Okay, now what do we mean by this? Okay, so when we talk about trade check, you're going to see now. Okay, let me back up here. You did trade enrichment, so you added all these values. Okay, now you have to validate that these values are correct. So you're going to do a trade check, and you're going to compare the information, compare it with the risk management system. That's the trade check. You'll compare all the see, what you want to basically compare is quantity and price. If quantity and price are done correctly, then all of this will be the same, right? But you're going to compare that against the risk management system of what the front office guy has booked. Okay, that's your trade check. Next, you have what we call as trader check. Now, when you talk about trader check, this is basically the guy in front office who did the deal. Now, what you're doing in trader check is that you're checking if they have crossed their limits for the day. Okay. Now, what this means is that, see, every person anywhere in the world of financial markets, right? They have a limit of how much that they can do on a particular day. Now, these limits are not a hard limit. Now, what do I mean by hard limit? Saying that if you reach your limit for the day, you're done for the day. Not like that. Rather, if you cross the limit, which you're allowed to, but it's your job in middle office to make sure that you capture this information saying that your trader has crossed the limits for the day. Okay, that's the idea with trade validation. You're basically checking on the trader whether they're within their limits or not. Okay, that's the idea. Now, last check is we're going to do a client check. And here we're going to check about any negative news about the client that may impact settlements. Okay, so this is what you're doing in trade validation. Okay, and the next step is what we call as trade verification. Okay, now what you're going to do here is that you're going to compare the trade details with a trade sheet. Okay, now what is a trade sheet? Is nothing but an Excel slash email sent from the front office. Okay, so guys, the idea of this validation and verification, right? Okay, the idea of this validation and verification is that you're double checking you're double checking the calculations that the system has done or you have done, so that the information is 100% correct. Okay, it's 100% correct. It is not different. Okay, so that's why you're doing a double check. You're validating it. Now the validation is happening at three aspects: trade, trader, and client check. Okay, now trade verification, you're getting a other source of information, which is through an email or an Excel file, and that you're cross checking with your system to make sure that it's correct or not. Okay, so this is what is happening in middle office. Okay, is this clear with everyone? Yes, sir. Yes, it has gone wrong. Even I have made mistakes when calculating stuff like this. I almost lost my job also by doing trade enrichment once. So yeah, all that stuff happens. Yeah, I almost lost my job because I did once this trade enrichment incorrectly. I almost lost my job. Yeah, so it happens. Okay, so are we clear with middle office? Trade enrichment, you're adding economic and non-economic details. In trade validation, you're doing a trade, trader, and client check. And in trade verification, you're going to compare the trade details with a trade sheet. Okay. Okay. Now, one thing I want to be very clear here is that middle office teams, depending on the company, will not will obviously directly speak to front office. Yeah, we'll obviously speak to front office, but they might or might not speak to clients as well. Okay, because largely it's a risk management team. Okay, so there are some teams that will like in Goldman and all, middle office teams are allowed to talk to the client. Okay, and back office is not. But in back office also there are, so in Goldman actually that way it's pretty good, is that everybody can talk to everybody more or less. Okay, but it really depends. Okay, but these are the steps that you're doing this. Yes, Nikhil, this one you have to do it in a hurry, and you have to be 100% accurate as well. Yeah, and all this stuff that I'm telling you guys, right, is happening still on trade date. We have not yet come to T+1 or T+2, and these are all your internal checks, and this is happening inside the investment bank. This is what the operations team is doing once the trade has been executed on the stock exchange. Again, the order is also completed. Okay, is this clear with everyone? Please write this down quickly, and then we'll move on. Okay. All right. Everybody done writing? Okay, good question, Sunil. So, how do you verify client check, right? So, when we talk about the client check, you will compare it with, let's say, an internal system. Okay, now you got to understand that there are a lot of other teams that will also be supporting you and all of that. So, if there is any red flag, right, that relevant team will red flag the account, and it will come to you as a error, and then you need to go back to front office and compliance and legal and say, hey, you know what, we got this error, or we got this negative news about the client. How do you want to proceed further? So there will be another team that will track all that information, and when they update that information, it will reflect in your system. Okay, good question, Suna. Prabhakar, if any silly mistake is done by an analyst, can that be rectified, and what kind of mistakes? So see, largely, yeah, well, it depends, Prabhakar, right? Is that a mistake usually happens after something has gone wrong, right? Now, generally, what happens is that if you make a mistake, there will be a financial loss associated with it. Like, I'll give you guys one small example. When I was an ops manager in SocGen, I hired a person that I was not very confident with, but because of my manager pushing me to hire this fellow, I had no choice but to hire him. And this person was not and it was Asia shift, okay, early morning shift. And because he was not a morning person, right, he used to fall asleep at his desk. And one day he missed to move a huge amount of money from one account to the other, which caused a $10,000 loss to the company, right? So the silly mistake is he was sleeping, right? Not it's a, not a mistake. He was let me not say anything here, right? But it's very hard to rectify a mistake once it's done because there's generally a financial loss attached to that this thing, okay? And so how do you rectify it is that you need to be responsible, and you need to be very good with your job, okay? And you need to be in a position to catch mistakes before it happens, okay? And I know it sounds a little weird, but all of you will make mistakes, okay? And you will mess up. You will create financial losses to your company. You will, okay? And but what will happen is you will learn from them, and you will be careful, okay? Now, if you make a huge mistake, you will be thrown out. That goes without saying. But yeah, there's nothing much that can be rectified after it is done. Yeah, nothing much can be done. Basically, IB recognized as brokers, right? And there is only deals different between. Yeah, retail broking is completely different. Well, Saurabh, that see, everything is urgent, so you should be making mistakes, especially when it's done urgently. And there's nothing, guys. Honestly, there's nothing that can be done. If you make a mistake, that's it. You can't do much. Um uh, Nothing. We'll contact me immediately. Yeah, you can actually, if you want. Actually, a lot of my students, after they made a mistake, they have contacted me, and I've helped them uh, figure it out. Or I don't want to say push the blame to somebody else, but um, well, let me say that I'll be very creative in helping you to solve that situation. Okay, I'm good with that. Mm. Nikhil, basically IB is recognized as brokers, right? Yes, they are. Yeah, it's only deals different between. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so GS and S, they can be appointed as lead managers. Yeah, that's also possible. And not possible, that also happens. Okay. Yeah, mistakes are not affordable anymore, and it's actually what do I say? Nowadays, I think the senior management have got a wrong philosophy, that they punish the analysts for making even small mistakes. They punish the analysts very unfairly. And I think that's the wrong mindset that a lot of the senior managers I have. And this was one of the big issues that I had with SocGen, was that they were going overkill because the senior management actually didn't come from an operations background, and they didn't really understand what was happening. And only thing they knew was to penalize the analyst really harshly, which I thought was unfair. But then I was a middle level guy, so I couldn't really do anything. I had to follow the thing. But yeah, stuff like that happens. And guys, let's be honest, you will you will go into IB, you'll maybe work for 2 3 years, then you'll decide whether you genuinely like it or not. Now, if you genuinely like it, you'll have a long-term career. If you don't like it, you will move on to something else in finance, and that's also fine. And I also already mentioned, right? You guys can work in a stock exchange. You can work with. I have one of my students actually. He's a brilliant guy. Okay, he's almost done with the RBI examinations. He's a brilliant guy. I'm in touch with him, so and he's going to be very, very successful. I feel in his life. But he's very clear with his goals. So he's working for investment bank, but his goal is to finally work with the regulator. So it all depends on you guys, right? So are we done with this middle office stuff? Cool. So let's finish this up with the last this thing. Okay, so the last one is what we call as core operations. Okay, and guys, I don't want you guys to call this as back office. Okay, it is core operations or just operations. Okay, and again, everything is equally important. Middle office is not better than back office. Back office is not a bad office compared to middle office. None of it matters. Everything is equally important. Okay, so in core operations, the first step is trade confirmation. Trade confirmation. Now, what happens in trade confirmation is that you send the economic and non-economic details to the client. Again, this happens either through, obviously, email, and you have an Excel file attached, or through an electronic matching platform, electronic platform. Okay. So trade confirmation basically is that whatever you've done here in trade enrichment, and that's why you're doing double, you're validating and verifying it so that the core operations team can send the details to the client. Okay, so that is what is trade confirmation. Basically, those of you who work in Indian markets, it's sending the contract note. Okay, basically you are giving the confirmation to the client that this is what is the transaction that is done today, and you are telling them that this is the commission, tax, etc. that's broken up. Okay, so that's trade confirmation. The next step is what we call as trade settlement. Okay, now what is trade settlement? Basically exchange of securities versus cash on settlement date. Okay, and the third and final step is reconciliation. Okay, so when we talk about reconciliation, what are you going to do? You're going to compare the ledger versus statement. Okay, so ledger is your book side and statement is your bank. Okay, yes, final agreement to the client. Yes. All right, so this is what you're doing in core operations. Trade confirmation is sending the economic, non-economic details to the client. Okay, and once they confirm, then you will do trade settlement. Then and that will happen on T+2. And reconciliation, when will reconciliation happen? T+3. Okay, and this will happen T+2. Okay, is it clear with everyone? Yes, Nikhil. The email is directly sent to the by the analyst to the client side. Okay. But a lot of times, I would say close to 85 to 90% of the time, it'll be sent through an electronic platform. Okay. And that's a matching platform created by Thomson Reuters called Oasis, Global Oasis, or OMGeo. And that's a matching platform for trade confirmation to happen. Yeah. And it's settlement, and it also happens through email, but really depends. If the client is not very big, then you can send them an email as well.
Sir, I wish to ask one question. It may be rather funny that how does the communication between financial institutions take place, like clearing house, depository, brokers? I heard something about Swift code. Is it that or something else?
Yeah, good question. Okay. Yeah, so in the international markets, right? How everybody talks to each other. Okay. Um, how everybody talks to each other in the international markets. Okay, international markets. You have a platform called as Swift, SWIFT. Okay, now this stands for a Society for Worldwide Financial Telecommunications. Okay, that's what Swift. Okay, now basically Swift is a messaging platform. I would say, yeah, you can say it's a messaging platform. Okay, that's how everybody talks to each other. Okay, now when we talk about Swift, right, it's largely used by operations. Okay, this is largely used by operations, from doing everything from trade confirms to payments, um, to recon settlements, etc., is what we will use the Swift network for. Okay. um, um, but from a front office perspective, okay, from a front office point of view, their communication tools, okay, are Bloomberg, Thomson Reuters messaging system, and I think that's largely it, and obviously phone and email. Yeah, so that is the communication system that is used all around the world. Okay, and good question. So, what would be non-economic details? So, see, when we talk about non-economic details, right? These are what we call as delivery instructions. Okay, when you say delivery instructions, you're basically giving them the address to where they need to deliver the securities and cash, right? So, for example, when we talk about the non-economic details, right, what we are talking about here is that you're adding the bank account and custodian account number, because that's what you're telling your client to, deliver the cash into this account, and and have this securities go out of that account, etc., for buy side or sell side, whatever it is. Okay, so when we talk about this part, right, that's what we mean is basically we're giving them the delivery instructions to where to deliver the shares and from which account the cash should go out. Okay, that's what we mean by non-economic. Minimum, there's no minimum. I mean, minimum ticket size. I've seen trade even. I've seen clients buy even one share. They had some weird logic for it. Not logic, but they had some thoughts around it. So they bought only one share of a company. So that minimum is one. I've seen that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other questions, guys? Nick. All right. So this is what happens at core operations: confirmation, settlement, recon. Okay, so settlement will see from trade initiation to trade confirmation will be on trade date. Okay, and T plus 1 largely will happen externally, and that I've already told you guys about. T plus 2 is going to be again both internal and external. That's the settlement. Okay, and reconciliation is going to be on T plus 3. Okay, sort of no, one share will not be for speculation. Largely, I don't know. I remember only one client talking about something related to voting rights. See, speculation, you will not make any money by buying one share of a company. Only when you buy millions of shares or thousands of shares, that's how you make money. Okay, but it's not for speculation. They had some specific thing about voting rights that they wanted to have. Okay, all right. Is this clear with everyone of what's happening in core operations? Okay, any questions? Let me just take your attendance.
I have one question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
The question is, sir, investment bank also hire computer programmers, software programmers. What
Yeah,
do they do? What is their role?
they are IT guys, no technology guys. So see, a lot of the stuff with investment banking, right? They develop their own in-house systems. They don't actually go out and buy technology from companies. Okay, so a lot of it they only develop. Okay, so there's a development team that they hire to develop latest technologies. Okay, then you have a support team which works on supporting the applications. Yeah, and now let's say you have a problem with the application or something like that, right? You need to contact the IT guy, and they will resolve the issue for you. Yeah, so you have help desk as well. Okay, so now especially with the technology side, right? A lot of the investment banks, uh, technology is quite old. Okay, and so they are in a big rush to actually update their technology. So a lot of big projects are going on in terms of updating their technology right now.
So we'll have next week this mock.
No, no, no. What do you mean? No, next your vivas are over for derivatives and FX.
Fivers are over, but that mocks something you mentioned. Last week we got a mail on that mock. Maybe
No,
that is
no,
an
that was
interview
set
or
by
what?
mistake. Level one mocks or something, right? No, that was set by
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah.
So you don't have level one
Okay,
mocks. So level one refresher was what we had to do. So your
okay, okay.
mock interviews will happen at the end of level two.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. No, so Nikhil, you see, guys, again, Nikhil, you guys are again not very clear with what is operations. Okay, you guys are confusing yourselves. You are not going to get commission or anything like that for the transactions that happen. You will get a year-end bonus. That's it. Okay, like in any company, you get year-end bonuses. That's all you'll get. There's no commission. You'll get salary and this thing, bonus and hike. That's it. Yeah, yeah, of course, Sunil. There's a lot of projects that happen because, like I mentioned, right, a lot of at investment banks, a lot of the project technology is quite old, so they have a business analyst team, um, business analyst team. They have a projects team. They have a lot of different teams. Yeah. How come I missed it? Okay. Um, okay, so you have all of that, right? Um, so you have projects within investment banking operations as well, right? So you have a lot. See, guys, again, I'm telling you, and I'm saying the same thing again. Everything is dependent on you. Okay, so your job is to get in. Once you get in, you figure out what you want to do, and then you work towards that. Okay, so that's it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all right. So this is it for today. So and I'll give you guys homework. Okay, I want you guys to practice trade life cycle. How come are you guys logging in now? Because when I checked, your names were not there. You guys going to practice trade life cycle for equities, futures, and options. Okay, and you're going to practice 5 times for equity, 5 times for futures, and 5 times for options. Okay, so what does that mean? What you guys learned in level 1, you have to apply that concept onto the trade life cycle, right? So I have given you guys an understanding of what happens for equity. Okay, so you practice this. Now I've taken Reliance shares, so instead of Reliance, Apple, whatever you want, and the logic is the same. Okay, and then futures and options you need to figure out by again understanding the concept of how futures and options work, and you guys figure it out. Okay, and I'm not going to give you the answer because it is if you're clear with the concept. Yeah, okay, I can't hear
Hello,
you.
Rakshit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I sent you a mail yesterday about that question that I was asking.
Mm-hmm. I've not had a chance to look at it, man. I was very, very busy yesterday. I had too many other classes as well. I'll take a look at it and
No
I'll get
issues.
back to you.
No issues. No issues. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hello,
Yeah. Hello?
hello,
Yeah, Pritam.
Rakshit sir. I think you forget my name, Preetam.
Okay.
Hello.
Guys, yeah. But when I was looking at your attendance here, because I can see your names, you were not there. See, now suddenly it went
Yes,
up
sir,
to
I
your
was not.
guys.
Yes, I was. I was not there because right now I'm in my hospital with my father.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
that's the reason, sir. Sorry for that.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Oh,
Thank you, sir.
but
Thank you so much.
yeah, sure. But guys, interesting thing, just till about 2:15 there were 22 people in the batch, and then as we come close to the batch 28 people it went up by 6. Now it could be genuine, sometimes it could be on purpose just to get attendance. Okay, but it's okay. Anyway, if you guys don't pay attention, it's okay. When I take the mock interviews, if you clear it, good for you. If you don't, then you know what is the thing. Okay, so I want you guys to practice trade life cycle, equities, futures, and options 5 times each. Okay, and that will help you to understand. I'm not going to give you the answer, but you need to apply the concept, and then you should be able to get it. Okay, and those of you who are clear will get it. Those of you who are not clear, you're going to struggle. Okay, but struggle and figure it out anyway. Okay, all right, that's it. I will see you guys next weekend. Okay. Why actually? It's the same thing, no, Watson. Okay, fine. I'll send it. What is that?